There is a whole lot to cover here at Gen Con 2019. So as we're over here, we actually split up a little bit. So I'm hoping you can tell me about the games you played at Plaid Hat. So you told me there's 2 games you played. Well, let's start with the one where the cat looks friendly.
All right, so first we'll talk about Quirky Circuits. And this is a programming game where players are trying to move a robot around a room and get them to carry out different goals. So depending on the robot, they have very different scenarios. One of them is like a robot, a sushi chef robot. But the one that we did is the most basic one, which is a Roomba, which is a cat on top of it. So it's going a little haywire. This cat's doing crazy things. So how it works is you want the vacuum to vacuum up dust on the map. And players have cards that will either say, turn the Roomba 90 degrees. They're not called Roombas, by the way, in the game. That's copyrighted. I'm just going to say that for simplicity's sake. Or it might say move forward 1 space or 2 spaces. The catch is you're playing these cards face down, and you cannot discuss what cards you are playing, and everyone has to play at least 1 card on your turn. Everyone has 3 in their hand, but you can play as many as you want in any order that you want. So in a way, it's a programming game, but it reminded me a little bit also of The Mind, because there's part of that where you're trying to read each other, and you're trying to feel out like, okay, I know that they played a turn card. You can see that on the back. So I'm guessing, logically, they turned right because there's a thing there, so I'll move forward so they move into it. But then it turns out, oh no, they turned the other way and everything goes haywire. It's one of those games, very, very silly, very fun. If you like, it kind of has that aspect, like we were saying at first, of Space Alert, but much, much simpler than that. And also kind of The Mind, this not really a party game, but definitely a game where people will be laughing about it afterwards.
You mentioned a sushi chef, so are there scenarios, I guess, or?
Yeah, there is kind of a book, and each page actually has the little map that you play on. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure if I believe there's like multiple maps even for each robot. But yeah, it will be like our goal was to clean up all the dust, but there can be different scenarios with different goals. So there is some interesting replayability in that sense. So it was some cool stuff.
So, and in particular, you mentioned The Mind, so I'm really curious about now is most of these games, you play with strangers, I assumed.
Yeah.
When you think a lot of these games, usually you're playing with friends, so you can order, I know how he thinks, I know that she thinks. How was it playing with strangers?
It was, at first, actually, we started off doing really well. I thought it was going to be a total disaster. But at first, it was kind of like just going in blind. Like, I don't know, let's just see what happens. But yeah, after a while, then you started to realize, like, oh, obviously that person I think is going to move forward. Or someone, I know they're going to put their cards down. If they have them, they're going to put them down like 2 or 3 in an order quickly that makes sense, and I can build off that, I think. So yeah, it kind of did. It's like almost a team building exercise. You do kind of get a sense of what you think people are going to do, which was cool.
That sounds really good, because I think that's a good sort of test. If you can do it with strangers and feel like you got that syncing going up, then you definitely can, I think, have fun with certain people, or at least make sure some people you don't sit down on the table with you.
Right.
But that wasn't the only game. Yeah. And you got to play another one of their big releases here. This time the cat's a little meaner.
That's right. So this was Aftermath, which is the newest storybook game from them, following up on Stuffed Fables, which we haven't played, but it's a similar kind of setup where you're also playing in like a book. It also is from Jerry Hawthorne, who did Mice and Mystics, but it's not in the same universe as Mice and Mystics. It's this post-apocalypse where the humans have disappeared and we don't know why, and you're all mice. Well, some of you actually, one character's a guinea pig. There's different things.
Rodents.
Yeah, rodents, basically. And a page of a book is a map, and a large part of it is the storytelling aspect. So certain things will reveal passages in the book, and you read it and see what happens. It could just be some lore, or it might be an actual effect. But on your turn, what you're doing is drawing cards, and they're basically playing cards, but with different kind of designs. They have suits and numbers to them, and you can use those cards for different effects. So any card can be used to move, but depending on the colors, one card might be a melee attack, one a ranged attack, one to investigate items on the map, different things that you can use them for, and you can decide, should I use this for movement, or should I save it for something else? You can also encourage, which means that on your turn you give a card to another player, so it's fully cooperative, of course. And same thing, you're trying to complete different scenarios, different goals. This one has a campaign in it, and each character has different little boxes to hold all their cards and the stuff that you get and your minis, so that each time you play, it's put away nicely and convenient for you. It was cool. It was fun. Yeah.
Now, we're suckers for story games.
Yeah.
And this sounds like story's a big deal for this, I guess. How do you feel like? Do you feel like you were hooked within your gameplay demo, or are you more like, eh?
To be honest, the scenario that they were demoing was like very bare bones, so we didn't really get too much of the kind of plot stuff, and I'm not sure. Like they were very vague about whether or not it's. I don't think it sounds like it actually entails what happened to the humans, but maybe that comes into play at some point as like a twist. But it seems like there will be some cool stuff there. After you complete a mission, you actually go back and have a colony. And part of it is you're trying to get enough food on each mission. You can find it under different tokens to feed the people that you have. So you actually have a food track, a morale track. So in addition to this kind of sort of a dungeon crawl-esque thing, it's also this like overarching resource management, taking care, managing your colony, which is interesting. So that's kind of part of the story too.
That sounds really cool to me because there's a bit more like going back to a hub. We've talked about how I like that kind of stuff. And when initially we started playing D&D, like, oh, it'd be nice if I could do that. So that does sound cool. I mean, we were big fans of Mice and Mystics before. We didn't play the Stuffed Fables. But this was one I did want to do. Unfortunately, like you said, we split up to make sure we had time. And maybe we'll get the chance to try it again.
Yeah, it was definitely fun, and I think if you like Stuffed Fables, or in general, if you like a Plaid Hat game with the narrative elements and little minis and fighting and helping each other, this is definitely worth a look. It's a little bit more on the expensive side. Like I feel like some of their games are. I think it was $85 or so, but it comes with a lot of stuff.
Well, let us know what your thoughts on this are. Do you think it's different enough? Are you excited for it? Are you excited to chase a cat on a Roomba? Not a Roomba, as well as maybe other robots. Are you angry at us for not wearing our plaid hats we got for free? Let us know in the comments down below.
For more Gen Con content, like this video, subscribe to Roll for Crit, and follow us on all our social media platforms.
But if you really need more, you can visit our Patreon. We'll be having a exclusive little Gen Con mini podcast to listen to.
And there's our contest running right now for the Keyforge Age of Ascension set. You can try to win. Find the link in the description down below.